Hey, Change Navigators, it's Paul Gibbons here, and I'm going to be speaking with you in about 10 days about the future of change management and change myths. Very excited to do so. This is a 2-minute teaser trailer to let you know what you might be in for, to see if whether it's the sort of thing for you or any of your colleagues and friends to attend. Remember the 1990s and all that iconic stuff? Well, we aren't there now. But change models still are. Some of these change models are from the early 1990s, some from much earlier. Unfreeze, freeze, refreeze is from 1947, McKinsey 7S 1980. The question we have to ask ourselves is, are they up to the challenge of 21st century organizations? Is one. Another thing is, what have we learned about human behavior since the 1980s and 1990s? And I will say a hell of a lot. So the question is how do we progress change management? Perhaps getting rid of some of these models that are no longer valid. And so last year in April, probably most of you know, this is a book that was sent to me by a client. There's no better validation, I think, for a book that sees one that's as well thumbed and as well marked and as well earmarked as that. So I was very flattered and grateful to receive this from my friend, from my client. And the topics in Change Myths were change curves, MBTI, sense of urgency, ADKAR, learning styles, brains hate change, resistance to change, unfreeze, freeze, refreeze, change models that have been around for a very long time. In many cases, we're going to make the argument that they're harmful to your prospects if you're engaging in change. But people have rightly said to my co-author, Trisha, and I, hey, you guys are very good at debunking, at showing some of the fallacies and falsehoods that exist in earlier change models, but it's easier to tear things down than it is to build them up. What have you got to say that's a good replacement for some of the things that you've debunked? Good question. Here we go. So this is our research agenda now, and we have a book probably coming out at the end of February called The Future of Change Management. It's going to be volume 1, because as soon as I started to talk to people all around the world, academics and practitioners and experts, about what should be in a book called The Future of Change Management, it was clear that we needed not 1, but 2, but 3 volumes. And volumes 1, as I said, due out very shortly: analytics and organizational change, behavioral science, ChatGPT, large language models and Gen AI and change management, nudges, choice architecture and organizational change, values and culture change, design thinking and culture change, mental health and organizational change, and so forth. And those are the topics that are in the shortly upcoming book. And then, looking forward to later on, diversity, inclusion, and organizational change. Do we think enough about that? Do we think enough about using evidence? Do we think about habit change for leaders of organizational change? Do we think enough about psychological safety, trust, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? That's the future. But I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, where we begin to talk about some of these great topics, just a little bit more about me. I've written a bunch of books on organizational change. Most of my career was spent in London, 30 years between 1980 and 2008. But before that, I was a Badger, which is either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on whether you're from Illinois or not. And now I live in Colorado with my 2 boys, one of whom's a college sophomore and one of whom is a middle schooler. And so that's a little bit about me. We'll get to know each other a little bit better on the day, but I want to thank you right now for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in 10 days. Take care.